Hi, everyone. I'm Lydia Benham with Whole Modern Parent, and today I have Jenna Worthen of Mom Who Works, and we are going to have a really great conversation with her about her new program called Ritual Renewal. Jenna Worthen has founded a fabulous platform, and she addresses a lot of questions, concerns, issues that moms run into while working. She's also created a great support tribe, and there's just a lot of really, really cool things coming out of that platform. So we're really grateful to have you here today. Hi, Jenna.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. So let's tell everyone a little bit about how and why you started Mom Who Works.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm a mom of three. I've got two boys, ages 6 and 4, almost 5, and then a 6-month-old baby girl. And I never like becoming a mother was never like going to be my culminating achievement of my life. I ever thought it wasn't, I just kind of like, well, yeah, of course I'll have kids. They're not too, whatever, whenever. And then when I had them, I just was so surprised at how much they dramatically shifted my priorities. And I think that that's something a lot of us wrestle with. That being said, I wasn't done being a working mom. I also absolutely love my work. So I was on a run in 2016 and just kind of had to like stop and take a note of this idea that, calling it a working mom implied that my work came before motherhood. And certainly at times it does, right? When I'm in the heat of a battle in a tough project. But really, no one ever called my husband a working dad. No one ever made that, a stipulation on him.
No, I've never
Uh,
seen that hashtag.
no, and in fact, if I'm late for a meeting as a mom and it's, kids, it's kind of like, Whereas if my husband's late because he dropped him off or he has spit up on his shirt, it's like a slap on the ass. Like, man, you're so awesome. What a great dad, and it just kind of was bugging me. So I came up with this idea of, what does it mean to be a mom who works? And so that idea came about in 2016, but it took me until 2018 to actually put it out there. I think when we get tender about things that we come up with that we care passionately about, sometimes it can be slow going. But I have learned that what is for you isn't going anywhere. And in the throes of motherhood with littles, I had to, with a full-time career, we went slow, and now we've got a website. We're heavy on Instagram and would love to have you all join us there.
Great. Thank you for that. Yes. So we love Jenna Worthen and Mom Who Works because she is addressing pretty much it's a cultural shift that's happening. I think that historically, like you're right, working mom has been the term, and we need to recoin that phrase, and we're actively working and progressing towards that. And I think a lot of women, I know when I first had my daughter, it's you have a huge identity shift, and for me, I think that was part of what played into my postpartum a little bit, because
Mm,
it was like these expectations of who I am, and I've never had anyone tell me who I had to be before. It's
yeah.
just culturally it was this shift, and I had a lot of issues because I wasn't identifying with that role of or basically this image of a role. I mean, you see
Mm-hmm.
the pictures of the moms, and um it was hard. It really was. And I think I'm not the only one. I think a lot of moms go through that phase where you're figuring it all out, and I think we do a disservice with the term like having it all or doing it all, because it's not it. I think that gives this perspective of you. Yes, a lot of balls are going to be dropped. That's just where it goes. But it's almost like, for me, it was just lowering expectations of things, and actually it was a lot healthier for me because I've been in the tech industry for the last while, and it's just, I mean, 24-hour turnarounds were crazy, and now they're absolutely not doable, and it's a sense of relief because I have to put that stop in place, and I really wish I would have done it before kids.
Yeah, I
Because
mean, research shows that working moms, it's an indicator of less career mobility, lesser pay, greater expectations. And, that's what we want to shift here. Because also what you talked about, women having it all, like, who defined all? like my all is different than your all.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
No, and that
thank
is
you.
true. And I think it is the perspective of the definitions, because I don't think there's an across the board definition. I think it varies person to person. And I think it's hard. We're having a lot of conversations about things that are shifting culturally, and people don't know exactly where they fit. And I think that this is also a good time to go inward and see, what's
Yes.
really important to you. And
Yes.
like what you guys have done and shown like on your platform is every mom's different. We have different high points, we have different low points, we have different values, we have different ways of juggling, and it's fascinating really, but it's not this one, there's not one roadmap. And I
Right.
think the whole kind of mom, like doing it all, having it all is like one roadmap, and it's not, it really isn't.
Mm-mm.
It's just,
Mm-mm.
we're all different, and it's what works for you, which is
Yes.
really cool.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the exciting part. Tell me a little bit about Ritual Renewal.
Yeah. So I actually was thinking when you asked me that, like, where did it come from? Is this idea, I I'm looking back and I need to check my like journal notes, but I think the first time I came up with this concept of like a Memorial Day to Labor Day challenge was when I was about to turn 30 years old. I think I started to look at like, what do I want to have accomplished? And my birthday is around Labor Day. And I started to count the weeks between Memorial Day and Labor Day. And summer can become such chaotic space. It's not wasted in the term of like you're making memories and stuff, but like a lot of your structure can just kind of fly out the window. And
Mm-hmm.
it can feel, for working moms, I think it can feel a little bit like I got to get through this because my childcare is all wonky and I've got to, it can be a difficult time. So I started to think about like, what was something that I could accomplish in that 12, 13, 14, 15 weeks. Every year it's a little bit different based on when Memorial Day falls. And this year we had an early Memorial Day and we're having a late Labor Day. So it's like a 15-week summer. So it's extra long. Okay.
Extra fun.
And in these times, that's a lot of summer. So it was just this idea of what can I use that time to accomplish, where at the end of the summer, I can really look back. And accomplish is a bad word, because it's not, the whole goal of this idea of ritual is like, how can you ritualistically care for yourself? And so one of the things we talk about is, step one is to set your intention. And I use the word intention because it means it's an aim. I think that goals can come with guilt, whereas I think intentions come with grace. And that's a big difference for me.
Mm-hmm.
I also, in preparation for this, I just looked up the definition of intention just to like make sure I'm getting this right. And another form of intention, there's also a healing process. The healing of a wound is intention. Now, is that not so crazy? Because I
Yeah.
also think it was kind of this huge epiphany moment 15 minutes before our call today. But this idea of what are these rituals that we set with intention that can become healing for ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, that just, implies grace, and also an intention versus a goal. An intention lessens outward expectations and recognition. And I think it's a much more internal, introspective consideration for what do you truly need,
Mm-hmm.
not what do other people say you need.
Yeah, and I love that, because I think we talk about self-care, and along those lines, it's almost like a refueling, like
Yeah.
physically, emotionally, mentally, intellectually, spiritually. Um, and I love that, like we have this time and space, and that was one of my questions for you, is kind of why this period of time, why now? But I can see how this is so needed right now, just everything we've been going through, and moms are maxed out, parents are maxed out, dads, I don't want to leave you out. Right now, I mean, we're juggling multiple roles, some maybe schooling at home, which they've never done before. Some are taking more of the load of the childcare, which they've never done before. And I know you and I, before we got on this call, we were kind of discussing all of that, and it is. So I love the timing of this. Just, it's being intentional, because in a sense we kind of are healing some wounds. I know that, like, I physically, I mean, just the last 2 months have been hard. They really have. And it's just like the other night, for the first night in like months I took a bath, and I felt so good.
Yes. Yes.
So it's like
Yes.
those small things of,
Uh,
giving, refilling. Yeah.
Baths have actually become a ritual for me.
Okay,
One
good.
of my past cues. So this, when I say like this started, like I think that's the first time I did it for myself, but this has not, I didn't turn it into a challenge until I had somebody else that was like, I think I randomly posted about it one year and someone was like, oh my gosh, I've never thought about that time frame. So actually baths have become a ritual for me. So a bad cue for me is put kids to bed and sit on the couch.
Mm-hmm.
And if I sit on the couch, I'm not going to do anything else. And I'm probably going to have a glass of wine, maybe 2 or 3, which is not a healthy thing for me for the next day. It's healthy for some, it's not healthy for me. So in order to move that cue, that habit, I have to walk past the couch and go get in the bathtub. And if I keep going past the couch and I go get in the bathtub, then I sit there, I decompress, I read a book, I don't take my phone in with me. And then when I come out, I'm much more likely to do some light stretching or light yoga afterwards. I'm much more likely to feel more connected to my partner.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably more willing to take some time to work on that passion project of mine because I've just kind of had this resetting moment
Yes.
instead of just falling into a habit that's not good for me. So that's the next part of this is, you set your attention and then you set your reminder.
Okay.
Reminders can also be cues, so James Clear in Atomic Habits talks about cues. And I think that that's one of the best books I've read about habit formation. And he's even talked about like when you go through a different doorway, what's your cue when you enter that room? What's your, and then I met a gal that's local and she literally has an iPhone so full of alarms, but they're all of her reminders a day.
Yeah.
And in your iPhone, you can set a reoccurring alarm for every day at a certain time. So whatever it is that you need to be your reminder to do it, set it up so that it works for you.
So let me just back you up just a little bit. So I want to kind of do a little deeper dive. Why ritual versus habit?
Yeah, it's a good question. So to me, a ritual feels a little bit more sacred.
Okay.
A ritual feels like honor.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like honoring myself in this regard. I think that habits, you can use the words interchangeably pretty much, but to me, a ritual feels, it's like it's honoring myself. It's honoring my personal dreams or aspirations or needs. And in parenthood, you can be denied what you need pretty often.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something that to me, it doesn't feel, it's not just like a means to an end, where like a habit, it's like, okay, well, I've got to set up these habits so that I can do this and this and this and this. Like to me, a ritual just feels like it's just good for me. And
Yeah.
that's the only end of this.
I know it sounds freeing just
Yeah.
having the conversation with you. I think because when I originally looked at this, I think my mind, I just went to, okay, I'll just add it on the list of like something. I'll add something in one thing into my day, add it to my task list to remember. But then having this conversation with you, it's like it needs to be so much more intentional to be so much more powerful.
Right.
Um, and I think like, especially if we're bogged down with and overwhelmed with just overload, which we are, it's like mental overload, physical overload, everything.
Yeah.
I think we tend to revert just to like task listing or getting things
Right.
done.
Right. Yeah, literally, this has no benefit for anyone else but you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's the big difference.
Yeah.
I've kind of come up with mine this year is to run for 10 minutes every single day.
Okay.
And that's not, I am in a postpartum season of my life. So getting my strength back is important to me. But if I just commit to 10 minutes, I'm going to do it every day. If I try to commit to 45 minutes because some trainer told me that I'm supposed to do that, I'm sure they're right, but I'm not going to get it done because that's not my season of life.
Right.
And if I run for 10 minutes, one, odds are good I'll probably do 20 if I can get out there. Or two, my mental health is benefiting so much from that alone time. There's a reason I did not buy a jogging stroller. I cannot take the baby with me on a run. And I just come in, I'm happier, I'm calmer, I'm having time to dream again. My best ideas, they say can come in the shower, mine come on runs, and so I just say every day I will find a way. And I cannot tell you, sometimes I am chanting that to myself by 9 a.m. when I am worn out and I know I'm not going to get to run until that evening. I'm just like, but you will, because you need this. No one else needs this. Literally no one else is benefiting but you.
Right.
When in reality, my better mood, composure, all of that is benefiting my family, but it's just for me.
Mm-hmm. So, and I just want to kind of reiterate what you're saying here, because I think that's really important, that this is part of the ritual renewal, as you're saying, is just for the self.
Yes.
So it's just being really intentional and maybe tapping in and finding something that you need to do that makes you feel good. What's the best way for us to tap in and find something like you found your running?
So I think of things, when do you feel most like your truest self? So for me, that's often whenever I am so engrossed in something that I kind of forget about my kids. So don't let them watch this, but that's whenever I get back to my truest self, is whenever I remove those huge, adorable responsibilities from my mind, from my spirit. So for me, I played soccer in college, and playing games right now is just not a fit in my life at the moment. But like when I can be on a soccer field and I'm now I'm not as strong and fit as I once was. So like literally everything I can do, everything I need in my whole body is being directed to finish this run right now. It's like I have no space to consider what other people need in that moment. And it's really beautiful. You talk about a bath, and it's just this idea of coming down, and I'm alone and I'm checking in with myself, So what are the things that most make you feel like your truest self, that make you come alive? And I think the biggest gauge for me is, do you have more energy after you've done it? If not, then it's not the right fit. If you, Lydia, picked running and it was like every single time though, you are just like, I'm dead and I'm angry and I'm pissed off, like that's not the right one for you this time,
Right.
So is it writing? Is it meditation? I am not good at stilling my mind. It's something I hope to work on, but right now I'm emptying my mind because I simply can't hardly even think to get my run done. Like just what are those things for you that work? I think one really good ritual too would just be like, it's something as simple as choosing to get up an hour early or stay up an hour late, whichever way you land, and just doing something for you. Like, is it, I don't know, do you want to crochet? Have you always wanted to like learn how to quilt? I mean, I don't know, but I have found the best ones for me have required the use of my body in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. And well, I mean, and there's research based on that, just having the physical with the mental, like the combination of the two, it really puts you in the present.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're saying. So you're saying the best way for us to choose a ritual to give back to our whole self is essentially something that keeps us the most present, where we're not thinking about all of our little or bigger responsibilities.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so tell me, how do we join the challenge for this summer? Is it still open?
Yes. So
Okay.
it's simple. Obviously, and I don't want to discredit this, there have been shifting priorities, I think, for a lot of us in the past week or 10 days. So it is something that we will be posting at Mom Who Works. You can go back to Memorial Day weekend. There's just a 3-post series that kind of gives you the breakdown of this, and it's different colors, so it'll be very easy to tell. And then we will be posting periodic updates throughout the summer. You can go to momwhoworks.com, email subscribe. We'll be sending that information out too. So we'll be doing various checkpoints throughout the summer every few weeks. We will probably lessen our focus just a little bit this year, as we also seek to explore some important issues in our community, and facing particularly our African American mothers. We're really wanting to dig in there. But I think that this challenge is for everyone, and it can be unifying in that regard. So I hope that in tandem to whatever you choose for your ritual, that you will also choose to say, I'm going to also be doing some self-exploration and how I am personally perpetuating in just systems. I know it's something I'm going to be working on too, and kind of adding that layer in as we go.
Yeah. And I think the self-exploration is part of renewal as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's part of a renewing rebirth too.
Yeah.
So I think that we're all, it's the energy is collective on that level as
Yeah, that's a
well.
good way of saying it. I like that.
Okay, that's good. So now we know how to join. So I have a few more questions for Jenna.
Okay.
So Jenna, one thing that I love about your community is you share stories and phrases and mantras of your mamas, and like some of them, it's just like, I mean, you know how it is. Like you get bogged down, and then you can read something, and you're like, "Yes, I'm not alone. I didn't think I was crazy."
Yes.
And it's just,
Yes.
it's so empowering, and it's that community, and it's that, it's like kind of the tide that binds us a little bit. So what are some of your favorite mantras that you maybe either your own or some that you've come across just with your community?
Sure. So one of my very, very favorite sayings, it's attributed to Voltaire, but is just don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
Mm,
So I think, again, that goes back to comparison and guilt and those kinds of things. But like, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. Today, my son ate 4 Uncrustables, but you know what? There was peanut butter on those, and he ate some food. So we're going to let that be the good today, because I'm telling you what, I can't keep fighting over some of those things. But also, that's really applicable to me personally, and my level of work. Lydia, I'm sure you're the same. My good work is damn good,
mm-hmm.
and I need to stop being so concerned and putting so much energy into it, trying to be perfect. It's
Yeah.
a lesson I've
Well, and it's
definitely learned.
go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's something I've been learning for years. And I feel really, no one can do your self-work for you. That's
Mm-mm.
important. No one else can go on your journey, no one else but you. But it is something that I feel like I learned a little bit early on, and I've been really grateful for.
Yeah. And I think it's something that women just inherently tend to lean on the perfection side of work, anything that we're doing. It's any kind of our work product or deliverables. It's just, we have this status of perfection attached to them, when in reality, I think what it ends up doing, it hinders us, and we do it to ourselves. And I know there's a lot of discussion and maybe some debates about it, but I see it. I see it in myself. I see it in coworkers. I see it in partners, and it's one of those,
Sure.
and I see it in parenting and momming.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think I have spent some time being neurotic about diets, and I mean, at this point, I'm just too tired. Everything's at the door, but
I love it. I
but
love
it
it.
is freeing. It's so
Mhm.
freeing. It feels good.
Yes.
You're right. It's like the Uncrustables. I mean, just finding the silver lining. But I think that that's a more realistic and true way to live. And if we think about it just along like the path of life, I mean, we're going to have to make mistakes incrementally to get where we're going. And
Yeah.
I don't necessarily want to live in perfection anyway. So
No, that sounds kind of boring. The
yeah.
other thing I like to say too, and this is something that I really want moms to think about, is what's ordinary to you is extraordinary to others.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my own quote, which feels weird, but the things, Lydia, that come naturally to you, that feel like the most ordinary, intuitive thing, for those of us watching it, it is extraordinary. It is spectacular. So pay attention to those things that come naturally to you, that feel so ordinary to you, because I think those are your superpowers.
Okay.
And
That's
I just
amazing.
really love us to pay attention to that.
Yeah, and I think I read something about that on your website, and that was just, it's so inspiring, because you're right. I think that we all have these skill sets and we overlook them, but they're absolutely, I mean, they're valuable and they're
Mm.
amazing, and we've spent all these years honing them, and we need to learn how to share them with people. And I
Yeah.
think you that hit the nail on the head with that. It's just it's, I mean, it's powerful. It really is.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and close our session out with our question. So, what makes you a whole modern parent, Jenna?
So I had a dear friend of mine, Bridget, actually send me a card in the mail, and I just got it this morning. And she put in there, I don't know if anybody does Enneagram stuff, but I'm an 8. And for women, that's a very hard number to be. Um, it's called the Challenger. And
I can
she
see that.
wrote me the most beautiful card, though. Now, one thing she said in there was that my 8ness is annoying sometimes too, but because I push people to be bigger in their lives. But she also said that one thing that she really appreciated was that I won't tolerate things that are that others are willing to kind of ignore or overlook. And so I think that that's what ties in to Mom Who Works, is that I want to be a whole modern parent by challenging and pushing back on and not tolerating what has been, um, the negative narratives perpetuated against women, particularly working women and moms. And that I'm unwilling to allow that to go unchecked in our society because it's more comfortable to put my head down and focus on just my little family. And I think that that's what is going to make me a whole modern parent, and to model that for my children so that they can become
Mm-hmm.
whole citizens
Yeah.
that are contributing, compassionate, um, and dang it, protesting members of this community. If that's what it takes, we're going,
Yeah.
So
That's perfect. I love that. You're right, because and that's something we need to remember is we're modeling. And if we're not going to actually live it and do it, it's going to be hard for our kid. I mean, they're going to be starting at the same position we are now.
yeah.
So I think that's the key here is we're passing it down right now.
Mm-hmm.
Jenna, thank you so much for your time. Everyone, if you want to join a challenge, go to it's at Mom Who Works
Yep.
Instagram. I did see it on there. I'm going to jump in. I think the bath might be one of them, but I might add in something else. Just depends. I'll try out some things and see how I feel afterwards.
Yes. Yes.
Going for the best feedback here.
Yes. Yes.
So let's go ahead and join. Again, it's already started, but we can dive in Memorial Day through Labor Day, maximizing our long 15-week summer this year. And Jenna, thank you so much for your time. And we will be hearing from Jenna again in the future as she joins our collective. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.